Welcome back to the channel. So following my recent videos on consumer rights, lots of people have asked about the position with a second-hand car. Now, before I get into it, I'm going to make the distinct differentiation between buying from a private seller and a business seller, because the rights that I talk about that come within the Consumer Rights Act apply from a business or a trader to a consumer, not if you're buying from your friend down the road. That's a private sale. And whilst there are some things that come into play with that, which I'll come back to at the very end of the video, so make sure you stick around. But buying from a trader, the Consumer Rights Act applies, and so do all of the consumer regulations. So let's get into it. So the position is broadly the same, whether you're buying a brand new car or a second-hand car, although there are some relatively obvious differences between the two. If you buy a brand new car, you don't expect any wear and tear, you don't expect any minor damage or defects and anything like that. So even if there is just a minor defect on a brand new car, you would expect it not to be there. And the way the courts see it, and previous case law, is that the more expensive the vehicle is, the better the quality you should expect. And therefore you should expect it to last longer, and so on. So now onto the position with a second-hand vehicle. Now, because you're buying from a trader, and assuming you are a consumer in this transaction, the Consumer Rights Act still applies, which requires, and in fact implies into the contract, various terms. Those include that it should still be of satisfactory quality, it should still be fit for purpose that it's sold to you for. For example, if you say to the dealer that you want to make sure you can tow a caravan, they say, yes sir or madam, this car is perfectly fine for towing a caravan. You get it outside and it falls apart because you've been towing a caravan and it just isn't up to the job. Then it hasn't been sold to you being fit for the purpose which it was described. And that purpose, even if it's not the purpose that it is ordinarily intended for, if it's a purpose that you've made known and the dealer tells you it will work for that purpose, but doesn't, then it's in breach of contract, because this is one of the terms of the Consumer Rights Act, implications into a consumer contract. And so it also must be of satisfactory quality, taking into account what a reasonable person would expect from this second-hand vehicle. So it must not be faulty or broken when it's purchased, and it must be of that standard that a reasonable person would expect. However, the difference obviously is this. There's going to be certain wear and tear. There might be markings here and there. There might be creases in the leather on the seats, for example. There might be scuffs along the seatbelt where it's been put on and off time and time again. There might be scuffs on the door handle from people opening the handle. There might be wear and tear around the steering wheel, the brakes, the tyres. All of these kinds of things might have standard wear and tear. Now, these wouldn't account for defects and faults that you would not expect with a brand new vehicle, but you may very well expect them on a second-hand vehicle. So you can't reject a vehicle just because there's creases in the leather or something like that. Equally, if there is a big scratch down one side of the vehicle or even a dent in the back, as long as it's not dangerous and doesn't take it beyond the realms of being fit for purpose, but if it is just a cosmetic defect or some other kind of defect that is cosmetic in nature, so long as it's been brought to your attention and you know about it, then that's fine. You can't then go back later and say you want to return it because you don't like the scratch or the scuff or the dent or whatever it is. The difference comes if it's been hidden from you, if it's a significant defect that the dealer ought to know about and they haven't told you about. This might be a reason you could take it back and complain. And so all of the same principles apply. So within the first 30 days, you can reject this vehicle if you find that problem within 30 days. Between the 30-day period and the first 6 months of purchase, you can have a repair or replacement, and it's for the dealer to prove that this problem wasn't there when you purchased the vehicle. After 6 months, it reverts to you. You must prove that the defect was there at the beginning when you bought the vehicle, and again the same applies with the right to a repair or a replacement. Just as a subtle reminder, if you enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and make sure you share it with someone at the end of the video. That really helps my channel and I'd really appreciate it. Many people will think that there are two opportunities to repair because previous legislation made it possible for a dealer to have more than one attempt to rectify the problem, but that's not the case with the Consumer Rights Act. It is one opportunity to repair. Of course, if the trader doesn't agree that there's a problem and they refuse to sort it out, then your most robust option is obviously taking them to court, but that can be quite expensive. There is also a motor ombudsman, which is an independent organisation which is designed to give a fair decision on both sides and to deal with complaints in a more cost-effective way. And finally, if you do get to the point of exercising your final right to reject, having had a repair that failed and then you reject the vehicle, the trader is entitled to make some reduction under Section 24, subsection 10 of the Consumer Rights Act, because if the goods are a motor vehicle, then a deduction can be made from the refund even within the first 6 months. So I hope that helps to broadly set out the position with second-hand vehicles. They are broadly the same rights under the Consumer Rights Act, but there are subtle differences, and it comes down to a reasonable assessment of what someone would expect from a second-hand vehicle, because it's not going to be in pristine showroom condition, as of course you would expect from a brand new vehicle. And I almost forgot, if you're buying privately, you really need to get the car checked yourself and check it over properly, because an individual is less likely to be held liable for defects that they probably won't know about, although they're not allowed to lie about it. So if they tell you that it's in perfect working order and it isn't, and they know that it's been in an accident, then they can be held liable for misrepresentation, and therefore that can amount to a breach of contract in itself. So please give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoy and like this content and you find it useful. Share it with somebody, because that always helps my channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And in the meantime, thank you for watching.